History as we know it is often incomplete. It can be a narrative shaped by those in power, designed to maintain their dominance. For centuries, there has been a systematic effort to erase the contributions, achievements, and even the very existence of thriving black civilizations. This erasure serves to uphold racist ideologies and justify oppression. By denying the richness and complexity of black history, colonizers aim to create a narrative of inferiority. Understanding the depth of this erasure is essential to dismantling its lasting effects. We must challenge the traditional, often whitewashed versions of history. The journey begins with acknowledging the intentional suppression of black voices and experiences. Long before the horrors of the transatlantic slave trade, Africa was a continent teeming with diverse and sophisticated civilizations. Empires like Mali, Ghana, and Songhai flourished, boasting advanced systems of governance, trade, and scholarship. The Mali Empire, for instance, stood as a beacon of intellectual and economic prowess. Mansa Musa, perhaps the most famous ruler of Mali, became renowned for his wealth and generosity during his pilgrimage to Mecca. Timbuktu, a city within the Mali Empire, emerged as a world-renowned center of Islamic scholarship. Ghana, another powerful West African empire, established extensive trade networks across the Sahara Desert. The Songhai Empire, rising to prominence later, controlled a vast territory and boasted a complex administrative structure. Recognizing their existence and understanding their contributions is crucial to reclaiming a more complete and accurate understanding of history. The arrival of European powers in Africa marked a turning point in the continent's history. Driven by greed and a sense of racial superiority, colonizers sought to exploit Africa's resources and people for their own gain. This exploitation came at a devastating cost, leading to the systematic dismantling of established African nations and the suppression of their rich cultural identities. Colonization was not just about political control, it was about cultural domination. European powers sought to impose their own languages, religions, and values onto the African people. This was done through a combination of force and indoctrination, with devastating consequences for African societies. Traditional systems of governance were replaced with European models, often ill-suited to the local context. The economic impact of colonization was equally devastating. African economies, once self-sufficient and prosperous, were restructured to serve the needs of the colonial powers. This led to widespread poverty and dependence as African resources were siphoned off to enrich Europe. The psychological impact of colonization was profound. Generations of Africans were taught to see themselves as inferior, their own cultures and traditions denigrated and dismissed. The transatlantic slave trade stands as one of the most horrific chapters in human history. For over 400 years, millions of Africans were forcibly removed from their homelands, subjected to unimaginable cruelty, and shipped across the Atlantic Ocean to toil as slaves in the Americas. This brutal system of human trafficking not only decimated African populations, but also ripped apart families, communities, and entire cultures. The loss of so many people, particularly young and able-bodied individuals, crippled economies and social structures. The psychological trauma inflicted on generations of Africans continues to resonate today. The deliberate separation of families and the stripping away of cultural identities left deep scars that continue to impact communities across the diaspora. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade and its enduring legacy is essential to dismantling the systems of oppression that continue to plague our world. The abolition of slavery did not mark the end of oppression for black people. It merely ushered in a new era of systemic racism, designed to maintain the power dynamics established during centuries of slavery and colonialism. This insidious form of racism operates through a web of interconnected institutions and policies that systematically disadvantage black people and uphold white supremacy. Systemic racism manifests in various aspects of life, from education and healthcare to housing and the criminal justice system. Black students are often relegated to underfunded schools, denied access to quality education, and disproportionately disciplined. Black communities face higher rates of poverty, unemployment, and health disparities due to discriminatory policies and practices. The criminal justice system in particular demonstrates the pervasiveness of systemic racism. Black people are more likely to be stopped, searched, arrested, and incarcerated than their white counterparts, even when committing the same offenses. Addressing systemic racism requires acknowledging its existence and understanding its pervasive nature. The legacy of slavery, colonialism, and systemic racism continues to cast a long shadow over Black communities today. The economic, educational, and social disparities faced by Black people are not a result of individual failings, but rather the product of centuries of deliberate oppression. Understanding the historical context of these challenges is essential to addressing them effectively. Economically, Black communities continue to lag behind their white counterparts. The racial wealth gap is staggering, with Black families possessing a fraction of the wealth of white families. This disparity is rooted in historical injustices, such as discriminatory housing policies that prevented Black families from accumulating generational wealth. Educationally, Black students often face an uphill battle. They are more likely to attend underfunded schools, lack access to qualified teachers, and experience harsher disciplinary measures. Socially, Black communities continue to grapple with the effects of systemic racism. The fight for equality requires dismantling these systems of oppression and creating a society where everyone has an equal opportunity to thrive. In the face of historical erasure and ongoing oppression, reclaiming our narrative is not just an act of remembrance, but an act of resistance. It is about reclaiming our agency, our dignity, and our rightful place in the tapestry of human history. Education plays a vital role in this process, serving as both a weapon against ignorance and a tool for liberation. Teaching the truth about Black history in all its complexity and richness is essential to dismantling the myths and stereotypes that perpetuate racism and discrimination. Education is not just about imparting knowledge, it is about empowering individuals to think critically, challenge injustice, and create a more just and equitable society. By teaching the truth about Black history, we equip future generations with the tools they need to dismantle systemic racism and build a better future for all. Reclaiming our narrative also involves telling our own stories in our own voices. While acknowledging the pain and injustice inflicted upon Black communities throughout history is crucial, it is equally important to celebrate the remarkable resilience, strength, and triumphs that have emerged from these struggles. Black history is a testament to the indomitable spirit of a people who have overcome unimaginable adversity to create vibrant cultures, make groundbreaking contributions to society, and inspire generations with their courage and determination. From the resilience of enslaved Africans who resisted their captors and fought for their freedom to the bravery of civil rights activists who challenged segregation and discrimination, Black history is replete with examples of extraordinary courage and unwavering commitment to justice. These stories deserve to be told and celebrated, not just during Black History Month, but throughout the year. Celebrating Black triumphs is not about erasing the pain of the past, but about recognizing that Black history is not solely defined by suffering. It is about acknowledging the joy, the creativity, the innovation, and the unwavering pursuit of excellence that have always been present in Black communities. The fight for racial justice is a collective responsibility. It requires recognizing our role in dismantling systems of oppression, acknowledge biases, challenge discrimination, and amplify marginalized voices, address root causes of inequality, invest in historically marginalized communities, ensure equal access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunity, reform systems perpetuating racial bias, move beyond performative allyship, dismantle systemic racism, build bridges, foster empathy, and recognize shared humanity. Despite ongoing challenges, Black history is a story of hope. It shows the power of the human spirit to resist oppression and strive for liberation. The fight for racial justice continues, but Black communities' resilience provides hope. The journey towards a just society requires continuous effort and belief in a better future. The arc of the moral universe bends towards justice. Honor the legacies by continuing the fight for equality and justice.